Welcome to talk about the future of Agile, which we believe is skepticism. So before I get to the actual talk, just one note. So why skepticism? It's because me and my colleague, Fred Williams, who unfortunately can't be here with us today because he has his son Alexander, we have a blog called Skeptical Agile. We're skeptics. That doesn't mean we're cynics. We believe in Agile. We believe that Agile works. That it's really a great idea, that it helps companies deliver value and helps basically make the world a better place. However, we see so many fads, so many false promises, so many ways in which the Agile is used as a label, or in the ways it should never have been used. That's why we came up. With the Skeptical Agile label. So that's basically that. The talk will consist basically of two parts. First part, we'll talk about all the bad things, and then we'll try to figure out how we can improve or what we can do as a community to get away from this Agile being used in nonsensical ways, basically. So one of the really bad things about Agile is that it's being basically the word is being used as a noun. It's being sold as a commodity, right? People are selling Agile. It starts with the certifications, with everything. You're being sold a package. Agile has been packaged, and you buy this nice box. You install it somewhere in your. Somebody mentioned that before in the morning, I think. You install it in your company somewhere, and voila, you're Agile. It doesn't work like that. I have an illustration video I would like to play. Yeah, he's everywhere, I'm telling you. And he's selling the same packaged Agile over and over and over again in zillions of copies. Yes, a warning at the end. So, and I guess you've seen that if you work with organizations, right? That there comes a consultant or a CIO has a great idea, right? Because he probably heard that somewhere on a golf course where the CIOs meet, and they talk about how wonderful this Agile thing is. The problem is it's not that easy, right? And I call these things illusions of agility. There are several of them. I want to go through some of them, and hopefully we can recognize them and we can talk about what we can do to prevent them. So first one is there is this focus to deliver more and more stuff, right? That's especially true in big corporations when you're actually trying to push more and more crap out of the door, regardless of how valuable it is. And because When you're doing waterfall, kind of, it doesn't do it that quickly. So you say, well, this Agile thing, that will do that. How many of you have seen that Agile is used as a way to deliver more and more stuff? Do you think that's the real value of Agile? It isn't, right? It's to bring something valuable, not to deliver just more and more and overwhelm the customers and users so they will eventually collapse under the weight of that. Another one, I've already mentioned that, it's selling Agile as a commodity. You're basically selling it, packaging it. There are zillions of certifications nowadays, and they are growing every day. I get an email like, don't you want to be certified in this? Don't you want to be certified in that? Right? Now we have the newest one, it's Certified Agile Leadership or something from Scrum Alliance. Yeah, Cal 1. So there is the number 1, so I'm guessing there will be Cal 2, Cal 3, Cal 4, Cal 5, Cal 6, Cal 7. And actually the Certified Agile Leadership is probably not that bad. Like I've seen the content and it's not, but there are others that are much worse. Right? But anyway, this all kind of is based on the principle that one size fits all, which is not true because one size never fits all, especially when we are dealing with organizations and with people, because we need to be pragmatic, we need to focus on what we actually want to achieve, and then we need to tailor what we are going to do, right? Not just buy a package and do it. Another problem is, and I guess you've also seen that, is that we're focusing only on tools, mechanics. I've seen it on many, many times that people are asking, so we want to be agile, so we need to have Jira, right? That will make us agile. What? Sorry? Yeah, we want to be agile, so we have to do Scrum by the book. So we'll plan all the events, we'll do all the ceremonies, we'll have all the artifacts, and that will make us agile. Well, that's not it, right? Agile is not about tools, mechanics. You can use any tools you want, any kind of mechanics as you want, as long as you're true to the manifesto and to the principles and to the values, you should be okay. Again, the focus towards tools and mechanics is very great. And I have another video to prove that. This one is however a bit sound, so I'll try to forward the laptop like this, and hopefully we hear it. If we are too far away, please try to move closer so that we actually hear that.
Ready? Yeah. No, I'm in Stockholm again. Some little place outside. Supposed to be some like comfortable Airbnb. What's up? Agile, huh? What's that? Hold on, let me Google it really quick. And yeah. Hey, hold on a second. Yeah, Andrea? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to change that flight because I think I'm gonna have to get to the board. Yeah, it does mean I'm just gonna have to go ahead and have to ask you to come on in this weekend and work some overtime and stuff, but don't worry, I'll make it up back to you sometime, yeah? Yeah, I know, but that's what daycare is for, okay? That's what babysitters are for, so, suck it up. Hey, I gotta go, bye. Hey, yeah? Well, what did Jim say? Really, it's the same as Scrum then, because I think I heard of Scrum too. It's like, I thought it was like, rugby, but no. Yeah? Oh, so then we can just get them all certified. I probably do it. Yeah. And then we don't need any documentation, no more of these requirement specifications or nothing. That sounds good. Oh no, those guys drive me crazy. How many? I'd fire a lot of them if I could. I do not like those arrogant little. Hey, 50% would make me happy. We get paying them too much anyways. Yeah. Oh, hey, here's another. Hold on. Yeah.
So that was a typical executive's view of Agile, right? The way how to cut resources. And he basically doesn't understand and it equals to Scrum. And as expected, following day, the board of directors decided to adopt Agile, and they started a new strategic initiative for 3 years. And of course, program manager, the CIO, will present a detailed adoption plan, including cost and needed resources at the next board meeting, because that's how you do it, right? Has anybody of you seen an approach like that? You have, right?
Yeah, many times.
It's very typical,
Absolutely.
right? And it's typical, sorry?
It's the norm.
It's the norm. So what can we do to prevent that norm from happening?
Don't participate in it. That's my choice.
Don't participate.
Participate
Well,
in
Yeah,
things.
when they ask you for such a thing, don't participate, say, no, this is not about that. Actually, what I'm trying to do when people ask me on LinkedIn or something, or I'm still trying to do that, I try to explain, this is probably not what you want, it will lead to this. Usually they never reply. And just a little side note about managers and whatever. I've just found this interesting article on Harvard Business Review. Only the title scared the hell out of me. I found it just this morning, so I included that. This is probably where the managers go. See how leaders can push employees without stressing them out. And actually, it's even better if you read it, because it's about how to do it without them noticing that you are pushing them, right?
You mean it gets worse? Is it really not?
Yeah, it gets worse if you read it. Yes, it gets much worse. I've just put the title there. So the problem is, again, it's being totally put out of proportions. The other problem is that we want to make everything agile. Agilize that, agilize that, whatever. Whatever it is, let's make it agile, right? Even if it doesn't make any sense. Even if it doesn't make any sense at all, even the slightest bit of sense. One example, I attend Agile meetups in Prague. Last time the topic was Agile HR, right? And I asked a very innocent question. So how do you imagine that HR will be agile? Like, what would it look like? Would it look like that you will feed new benefits to the employees every week, testing them out? That's probably not what you want, right? You don't want to try new sets of benefits every week. You as an employee or whoever, you don't want to renegotiate your contract every week just because somebody had a great idea that they will change one paragraph. What it ended up with was that they had a problem with hiring. It had nothing to do with Agile. They wanted to hire more people quickly, right? And we are going back to that, do things faster. We're like, we are able to process 10 candidates per week, month, or something, but we want to do 50. How do we do that? Agile can help us. If we do these boards and whatever, it will make everything better, and we'll be able to process those candidates. Yes?
But Agile brings some goodies with it. Like
Yes.
HR can benefit.
Yes, I agree with that. I'm just illustrating that the problem is that the word is being misused, and the principles are being misused. Agile definitely brings some good things with it, but these are not that get applied usually.
So you're seeing a pattern of people using that word to mean faster.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed that a lot, that people essentially say agile when they want more of something or something done faster, without consideration about the value, without consideration that it actually means cooperation, collaboration, and all of that. Just do things faster.
But
Mm-hmm.
gentleman's point a second ago, if they're getting the benefits from it, like maybe they're using Kanban as a process for managing their flow as they go through, and they're getting more people through if it's an interviewing
Mhm.
hiring problem. What's the problem with that?
So that could be a benefit if they are getting more people through thanks to that they are eliminating waiting times, whatever. But what they were actually looking at was, well, how do we make the interviews and the actual work take least amount of time, not the waiting time. We're not that much considered about waiting. We need the actual work to shrink.
Yeah, and also add to that that most HR hiring processes are appalling. And so to do more of them is scary. So really, I think they should use agility to improve the process.
Yeah.
To actually
And exactly, that would be a good use of agility, improve the process, do some continuous improvement. How do the candidates like that? Are we actually hiring the people we want? Or is it a completely useless process? How do the people feel about the process, right? Let's improve that.
And I think, again, with my limited involvement,
visibility of the Agile HR community in London, there are people who get this. They do get what Agile is all about, and they understand, respecting people is a key principle in this. And so I totally, I'm with you on, there are many things that suck about what people are doing, but let's not think that it's all bad.
That's my
Because
point.
of their
That's my point.
No, nothing is entirely bad, nothing is entirely
It's not like
good.
we need to be defensive of the name Agile.
No.
It's such, right? It's not like we're defending the term's being misused, and that's an offence to the technology community. There's no value in
Yeah, sure.
defending that
Yeah.
aspect.
I'd say, if anything, it's a challenge to us to engage with all the areas across business where.
Well, I would say that it is our, not job, but our thing that we should do as a community to explain, to help it make better, right? Or in the case when you can't make it, you would say, no, I'm not doing this.
There's a difference, though, isn't there, between Agile's a descriptive word, right? It's an adjective. But Agile with a capital A is a noun with a very specific meaning that comes out of the Agile Manifesto. So it's really important to help people. Are you just talking about, making things more lightweight, or some other description of what the original word meant? But if you're using it in an uppercase way like that, as a way of trying to convince people that we're now, quote, Agile, it is misleading. And I think it does affect people who are trying to do this well.
I noticed that you had the word agility in quotes on a previous slide. I was a little surprised by that.
It's possible.
I mean, though.
I don't see it, but I don't see it there.
Previously it was there.
Okay,
I
we can.
was with you with it, absolutely, but I was a little puzzled by that.
So for me, the difference between agile, it's something that you can sell, package, whatever. Agility for me is like more a property of an organization or a team or something. They are lightweight, they're adaptable, they focus on delivering value.
Being responsive.
Exactly.
It's a relative to
Exactly.
those kinds of
So there is where I see the difference. And agility is something you can apply everywhere. Packaged agile is probably something you cannot apply anywhere. Right? And there are even some conspiracy theories about agile.
Hey, they don't know. They don't know, but they're gonna find out. What I'm saying is the truth, and it's time that people recognized it. There's a conspiracy around us. Those people making software, they don't want us to know. They don't want us to know about Agile and how Agile can change our lives. It's gonna make everything better. Oh, it's gonna make everything better, and software will be good and do faster, and we'll have velocity and stand-up meetings and Agile. I've seen visions of Agile. They're trying to keep it away from us. The governments and they don't want us to have Agile, but I'm telling you, it's the future. The future is Agile. Listen, people. Listen. Agile.
Yes. Another problem is that, and you again have seen that, we're hiring these agile gurus, ninjas, superstars, whoever. Who has seen that? Like in the job advertisements. It's everywhere, right? One came to me just a couple of days ago. It looked like this. I've cleared the name of the client. I guess some of you may have got that as well, because it seems to have spread like a virus. And it's kind of funny. And there is one funny thing about that, which actually is not funny at all, and which is this one. Someone who can help management at all levels of the organization to understand the benefits of working agile. So they are hiring an agile coach, but they don't know why. Right? And there are other things. Imagine how would an interview for such a position look like? Maybe like this.
Hey, are you Johnny, our new Agile guru? Hey, the guru in
everyone's experience here, because I looked through all of the resumes and there was hardly anybody who had the required 5 years experience as an agile guru. But when I saw your LinkedIn profile, it was clear that you had all the experience we needed. So, all right, now what's real important is that you're going to be able to get along with the board. Yeah? Okay. So what they're really looking for in agile is that we want to cut some resources, okay? Because we've got way too many resources taking up way too many desks, and it's really time for us to, put a stop to that, okay? Okay. So agile can do that. I know, because I've read all about it, and I know it's going to make us a whole lot faster. So I just want your commitment to really tightening things up around here, because the last guy, he was not cooperative at all. I understand. So great. I think we are all on the same wavelength, let's say. Okay. I think I can confidently make an offer here. It's going to be commensurate with your experience. And hey, what do you say we start next week, eh? Put her there. Put her there. I'm so glad you're joining us.
Yeah. So that could be a potential interview for an agile guru. Probably not the job you want. Yes?
Evangelist.
Yes, that's the same. There are many others like gurus, ninja, superstars, full stack. There are all these buzzwords, bullshit words that don't mean anything, that just should add something to the job descriptions, right?
It's interesting what you showed us earlier with the job ad. Learn why they want to go agile or anything around it.
This one you mean?
And yeah, and sometimes I wonder, they try to put the coaches or Scrum Masters in a position to sell the benefits of that to the business, right? And it's like, it's your job. Hiring is your job to sell it to the business.
So my main point in this one is that, first, why do we want that, right? And the thing is that if I got something like that and I decided to reply, which I didn't in this case, probably because the first sentence really put me off. Please check it once, like with the marker, so I will check it once with the red marker and kindly revert me back. So what's that mean? That I should revert that person to a previous state or something? With your interest, like interest from my bank account. But anyway, if I did do that, if I replied, I would probably reply, what are you looking for? What are your expectations, right? The problem is that there are people who pretend to understand Agile, or who pretend to be these gurus, ninja, superstar, whoever, who will just say, I will do that. And then they go and do that without asking, what are you actually looking for? Because for me, from this is absolutely not clear. Like, why do they want to do that? The management apparently has no clue.
But that's not a criticism of
that's
the...
right.
I take your point about the guru and the person taking advantage of that situation. For me personally, I work in a large enough company.
Yep.
We have been there for the criteria that you're talking about. On the one hand, you have a development community who are really passionate about what they do. You want to build good software. You want to do it in a way that they can iterate and they can improve the things they do. On the other side, you have a business sponsorship who just don't understand and within reason, don't really care about how you go about doing it.
Yeah, and I understand the point that you're making, that you need somebody to make them see that. But you're going to do that through finding out what matters really for them and then tapping into that. You are not going to do that through evangelizing. That was probably your point, right? That you will just go there and tell us, our ways are the best and you have to do it like this, blah, 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 blah. If in fact they don't care about that. Because they have another problem. I don't know, whatever.
I guess the point that I was making was there is a gap. And people are taking advantage of it. That's definitely something to be skeptical about. I don't approve that at all. But nonetheless, there is a gap.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
There is a problem to solve there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And to me, there's nothing inherently wrong actually with that sentence there. It seems entirely reasonable. We've said ourselves, you said yourself, that your experience is that there are benefits to this way of working. Yeah? And there it's saying, right, somebody who can help management at all levels of the organisation understand those benefits.
But they're recognising they have their own problem themselves, right?
Yeah,
they want to do something.
And it's perfectly possible that there's somebody in the organisation who gets...
So maybe it's just me who don't like it. That's possible. It's entirely
I
possible.
think what you said earlier, Thomas, it lacks a purpose.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, we want this. Why do we want that?
Why?
sometimes they dump all the to-dos to the Scrum Master or to the Agile coach. So you got to direct with someone who has the vision and hire someone to take control of it, right?
Okay.
And then that's it. That's as far as it goes. Scrum Master goes there. Everyone's immobile, so can't do anything. And it's his job to sell it to the business, to the VPs, to the directors. It just sometimes it happens. I think.
Yeah, that's good.
And I agree with you about, there are different approaches, and some of those approaches are crazy and don't make any sense, but there are other approaches where it's understanding and explaining off the back of that organization's context.
Which takes us to the second part. This reality of agility. And I'm switching from agile to agility. Now I'm switched to agile, but that's only I don't want to mess up with this quote by Steve Denning, who said agile is a mindset. For me, it's more about agility, but it's a mindset. It's a way of working. It's not something you install. And if we approach it like we as a community approach it like that, we have a chance of really making things better. There is another thing, how you can recognize that, and that's another quote I like, which is from Ron Jeffries. How do you know that the organization has the property? I like this definition. Are you able to deliver something every week to your users? And the third kind of definition I liked was one by Jeff Godhelf that I stole on Twitter, which is again about that customer-centric definition of done, in this case, focus on the customer. The question is how to get there, right? And for me, it's asking these questions. Are we taking some small steps towards where we want to go, like towards the goal that we want to achieve? Are we feeding it back to our whatever we are doing and adjusting over and over again? Or are we just trying to impose a different set of processes? If we are doing the latter, that's the agile in the package. Yeah. The first one may actually work. So 2 things at the end. Before you change things, ask yourself why. Why are we doing that? Why are we trying this new thing? What should we gain from that? And from that, what worked for me, design, run, evaluate experiments. Small steps. I especially like the scientific method where you say, okay, if we do this, we expect that we will get there. This is the reason. That's how we're going to measure that, right? And then you measure it, and you can improve based on that. It's a basic scientific principle. Maybe I like it because I studied mathematics, whatever, but I like it because it provides you that feedback loop. And it provides you the why. Why am I doing that? Because without that, you're just messing with things. And of course, because we're skeptical agile, above all, be skeptical, which means there are no silver bullets. No one-fits-all solutions. Nothing that can be just installed, put in place, and it just works. And I have a surprise for questions. I actually do have, if it works. How do I do it? Yeah, there's a dog. Fred, can you hear us?
Greetings, Earthlings.
So Fred is in a secret.
We are calling from our secret lair hidden underneath the volcano. We will answer your questions about why we should be skeptical and what things we are specifically skeptical about.
Yeah, by the way, before we get to that, for those of you who have been to Let's Talk, this is Zoom. And it's free for a couple of people, so you can try it without paying. This is the free version. Any questions? Yeah, the questions. Sorry, I made a short commercial about Zoom. I'm trying to get a discount on the paid plan, you know. So, any questions? Any comments? Any additions?
My kind of general feeling, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to express this, but I'll do my best, is, I'm totally with you with the need for skepticism, and some things are just shocking and kind of, I feel, quite obvious. but you've got to be careful that you don't kind of devalue your message by almost like creating some straw men in some cases, which I don't think anyone would.
Yeah, you're right. You cannot overdo it, basically, right? So that's why I said at the beginning that we try to be skeptical, not cynical, because cynical means just you say, haha, that's never gonna work, and you will make all sorts of cynical jokes or remarks, which we're not trying to do. We're trying to basically point out some of the flaws and trying to get everybody to think about things, right? To think about it and about the purpose of what we are doing and what we are trying to achieve. That's the main message.
If I could add to that, Thomas, it's important to understand also, we really love Agile. And what is concerning us is there are so many people who have jumped on the bandwagon now that we worry that Agile itself is going to become disrespected because of the over-promises and lack of follow-through and lack of actually delivering, right? So we think it's important to point that out early, that there's no silver bullet, just like there's never been a silver bullet that solves all problems. And Agile is not just a set of ceremonies and artifacts and buzzwords. It's rather an actual change in mentality, which is much more difficult to do than just selling some sort of consulting course. Because we've all worked in organizations where they're continuing the old patterns, they're just slapping new labels on it, right? And borrowing the language of agility without implementing the reality of it. And that's extremely dangerous because we're all going to lose credibility as a result if we allow this to continue. So we're sort of the canary in the coal mine saying, hey, let's be careful what we promise.
So what's the call to action? What's the
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
So the question is, what's the Fred? Yeah, sorry. So the question is, what's the call to action?
The call to action here is be skeptical. When you're going to a conference like this, and Thomas and I have attended a lot of conferences, when somebody's talking a bunch of bullshit, stand up and tell them they're talking bullshit.
You guys are talking bullshit.
Thank you.
Because that's how true agility happens, is through open and honest communication, not trying to hide things through pleasant words, but honestly saying, look, your premise is wrong, or your conclusions are wrong, or I dispute your evidence, right? I've seen presentations where it's supposed to be about Agile or it's supposed to be about software development, and it starts sounding like Deepak Chopra. And that's what makes me worried.
So if I may add to that, there is one thing I've noticed, and that is that Agile is sometimes perceived as that collaboration, and that somebody translates to being one happy family, kind of everybody agreeing with each other, which is actually not that, right? It's about constructive criticism, being openness, being honest.
So I have a question that's a bit like Adam's question.
Uh-huh.
I think. What do you do with your skepticism? So it can be a very negative force. I get what you're saying. We need to be discerning. We need to discern. We need to recognize when people are talking bullshit and when they're trying to sell us stuff. And we need to be aware of job ads like the one you showed that really don't explain anything. But to be skeptical, like the example you gave, Thomas, was like I didn't respond to that. But a different response might be to inquire and find out more. So my question is, where does your skepticism take you? Does it always take you to useful places?
Usually it takes you into questioning. Yeah, Fred, the question is basically what do we do with the skepticism and where does it take us? So my answer would be it usually takes me to questioning and asking even more questions and being curious and digging deeper into why would that person think that? Because usually there's a reason behind that, right? So it kind of allows me to try to understand more before I make a judgment, right? Because if you're just and I'm going to...
But in the letter that you showed us, you didn't do that. You chose to essentially ignore it.
Yeah, you're right. That one I ignored, but usually I reply to letters like that questioning, so what are you actually trying to achieve here? Or maybe can you describe me what's the purpose of that initiative that you're running?
If I could add something, if I understand the question is, the specific, what is the call to action again? What should we be doing? How do we practically apply this? And it's about not giving in to groupthink, not just following the recommendation of somebody's book just because they wrote a book. The bar to cross to become a so-called expert in Agile can sometimes be stunningly low. And so we see people infiltrating the industry and attempting to pile onto Agile things that don't really belong there. And on the other side, we see people selling Agile to places where it's not really appropriate, right? And big failures as a result of that. So again, it's about resisting the urge to be pleasant and just nod your head and go along, but sometimes just point out this, full stack developer, that's nonsense. To be a guru, that's nonsense. A rock star, that's nonsense, right? That's not how software gets made.
Why is it
That's
full
a
stack
bad
developer?
misunderstanding of the basic
I'm
principles
sorry, I'm
of
a
what
full
we
stack
actually do
developer,
for a living.
Yeah, I'm puzzled by
for
the
example.
saying full stack developer is nonsense. Why is that nonsense?
So I would say that depends on the definition of full stack. If you
We need the question restated.
Yeah, sorry. So Fred, the question is, why is full stack developer a nonsense? Let me clarify the question before we try to answer that, because I think, what do you mean by full stack developer?
Well, I have developed a functional application. I'm not blowing the Trump. I've developed something that's serving users.
So you mean that you can develop it from database backend, frontend, basically?
Yeah, me too.
That's it. Okay. So the way Fred is using full stack and I'm using it sometimes is that you know all the technologies and basically everything. You can do everything regardless of the technology. You come to the company, whatever technology they have, you can do that.
Yeah, why not? We should strive for that, shouldn't we?
But
We can't do it instantly. We should.
yeah,
commit to
exactly.
learn to
Yeah,
do it.
and the full stack is you're instantly able to do anything, which I think is wrong. You cannot do that. You can. That's why I wanted to clarify the question, right?
Michael Feathers has been using a term full scope developer now, which is an extension of full stack development, which is not only can you develop, but you also have skills in poetry or philosophy or something else. So he's pushing the bar even ever higher.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like it. I like that's something we
Like-
strive for.
Personally, I also like doing many things. I like cooking, gardening, whatever, and developing, coaching, whatever. But I wouldn't call myself a full stack anything. So maybe it's really about the understanding of the full stack. But this is an interesting feedback. I need to think about this
But the other
particular
words,
one more.
guru and ninja and
Yeah, that's understandable, right? Those are just bullshit
that's
words.
a different
Yeah.
kettle of
Okay, so we'll think about the full stack. Thank you very much for that.
fish.
Yes.
So you said design, run, and evaluate experiments.
Yes.
Can you give some examples of what experiments, like how?
Could be. So again, Fred, the question is about the experiment, like the scientific method, an example. So an example could be anything. So whatever you want to change, you will think about what is the smallest thing I can try to change. Like it could be, okay, I cannot think of an example. Let's try something.
If I could give an
Yeah.
example, Thomas.
Go.
When I'm showing people how to define software according to value, we try to use a hypothesis-based approach where we say, if we add this piece of functionality, my hypothesis is that within a fixed time, 6 months, 1 year, we're going to have increased usage or increased revenue or some other measurable form of knowing whether or not you've actually succeeded by adding that feature or taking that feature away or making some modification to it. And then actually following up and performing those tests of business and user value. And if those tests do not pass, then remove that feature, stop doing that thing. Because instead, so often we get this, whoever has the greatest sales ability will push features into a product, and then they become legacy and they never get removed. And that's not being scientific at all in our approach to how we actually develop software.
Yeah,
And I would usually identify bad ideas by simply saying, how are you going to test whether that's a success? And if you can't tell me pretty much off the top of your head how you would know whether this feature was successful or not, then you probably don't need that feature. If you can't follow up 6 months from now and show me here's who it helped and here's why it's helpful, then it's probably not helpful. So that's sort of the hypothesis-based approach to things in a nutshell. And I think it fits in well with the truly agile mindset of experimenting and looking to how we can improve things and provide value rather than just pushing more crap out the door. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
so another example might be, for example, I don't know, if you were trying to make some improvement, and for example, you can make a hypothesis, what if we add this one column to a Kanban board? What are we trying to get from that? My hypothesis is, if we add this column, we'll be able to see what's blocking us better. And we'll measure that by whether actually we'll be able to see some tickets that are in that column, right? And you're able to measure that, whether it helped or not.
Or the impact on
Or
your lead.
exactly the impact on your lead time, cycle time, whatever. Whatever you do there. Other questions? Okay, in that case, thank you very much for listening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.